communication, leadership, attention to detail, as well as quite technical and great applicant.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. My name is David Drinnan here on 10 News, and I am joined with
Gabby Gueco. Today we are discussing the case of the Terreco gas chlorine leak. We will be discussing the facts, issues, decisions, and business implications that this case has had on the company. So David, can you give us a summary of the hard, cold facts?
I certainly can. So Terreco is a transportation company handling various gases and solutions, oftentimes taking care of hazardous material. Earlier this year, Terreco was contracted to transport hydrochloric acid and hydrochloric solution, which is known as bleach.
So from what I know, acid and bleach are two chemicals that should never be mixed, right?
That is correct. Now, the acting office manager did make note of this, but only verbally telling the new driver. The driver then arrived to the industrial yard with the incorrect identifying document, saying that the chemicals were different than they actually were. Following the instructions, the driver mixed the two, producing a poisonous chlorine gas that escaped through the valve of the truck.
That is definitely not good. So was the driver or anyone hurt?
Luckily, the inexperienced driver did not get hurt, but being near a residential area and other drivers did prove harmful. Another truck driver is also at the site, and with the release of gas, it caused him respiratory damage, which needed some serious medical treatment. Now, this affected the driver, and this driver then took the incorrect document to his doctors to try to get everything handled with his lungs.
So how did the doctors know what to do with the incorrect documents?
Luckily, the treatment was the same for the incorrect documents as well as the actual chemicals, but the damage was still done. And he did actually have to stop working for 3 whole months because of how affected his lungs were.
So what happened to the leaked chlorine gas itself?
Because it did evaporate into the atmosphere, there was no cleanup necessary, and no one else was injured. But a homeowner did actually notice a sour scent coming from the air around them, and they did notice that their plants as well as grass did die. After noticing the smell, they took the child inside because of terror.
So what did the truck driver do afterwards?
After he took the truck and drove it to a well site, meeting with the acid representatives from the company so they can properly handle how to do what they need to do. They decided to pump the mixture into the well, with some of it actually missing and hitting the ground. This hitting the ground did actually cause a fine and got them in a little bit of trouble, but they did immediately clean it up and reimburse the company whose truck was also affected. Now, Terreco then notified the authorities, acted calm, collected, and cooperated very well.
Sounds like they acted the right steps. So looking at what happened, they're quite lucky that no one else got injured.
You're exactly right. You know, huge gas leak like that, people can get hurt. Now we'll be sending it off to Lewis, who's actually interviewing the homeowner herself. Lewis?
All right, I'm here right now with one of the homeowners who lived near the site of the incident. Mrs., could you describe what happened here today?
My child was playing outside when we noticed a very unsavory smell. That's when I decided to bring her in because of her safety.
Couldn't breathe too good, mister.
All right, did the smell have any adverse effects on you or anything?
I'll sue you! I'll kill you all! You hurt my child!
Whoa, Lewis, be careful out there. While we wait for him to get back, Gabby, what are the primary issues that have arisen from such a conflict?
All right, so the primary issues that arise are Terreco's culpability is put into question as to if they truly did their due diligence to prevent this occurrence from happening. The thoroughness of the company's training program for new managerial and employee members is really put into question due to the multiple mistakes and lack of proper procedure followed. Terreco had an insufficient training and supervision program in place at the relevant time, and they did not have all the systems in place necessary to minimize the possibility of error and deal with its consequences.
Now, with such a huge mistake, I have to ask, did the company have any previous records of this nature?
Terreco had no previous record and were never warned by the authorities about their behavior. However, the risk was very high due to both the manager and the truck driver's inexperience. The company, however, did not profit off this. It was merely a case of carelessness. The company displayed acceptance of responsibility by their early guilty plea. The damage done to the environment due to the release of harmful gases violated the EPEA, Environment Protection Enhancement Act, and the proper release of chemicals violated the DGTHA rules. The gas leak also caused permanent respiratory damage to another truck driver who was off work for about 3 months. And additionally, there was very high potential harm to the nearby residential neighborhood. So given this information, the company really should have properly considered how inexperienced personnel could affect the operation, especially due to the dangerous and life-threatening nature of chlorine gas.
Exactly. Now we'll take it actually back to Lewis, who is interviewing James McInnes, the primary victim of the case. Lewis?
All right, we're here at the Full Hills Medical Center today where an innocent truck driver has been sent as a result of the gas incident that has been reported earlier.
I need morphine.
Can you tell us anything that's happened from your perspective, sir?
I'll sue you all. They took my job. They took my job.
And now we have Dave with the weather.
What's up, guys? It is 7 degrees. Back to you, Lewis.
Hello and welcome back. This is Lewis with Channel 10 News, and I'm joined here today by the Honorable Ramsey Ajram, our courtroom correspondent for the case. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks, Lewis. Pleasure's all mine.
All right. So could you tell us about the court's decision regarding the Terreco gas case?
Sure can. Well, Lewis, it took a long time, but a decision was finally reached.
Let's hear about it.
Well, it began with the initial decision made by the trial judge who found Terreco guilty of causing hazardous materials to be released into the environment under the EPEA, accompanied by a fine of $50,000, and with unsafe transportation of dangerous goods under the DGTHA, accompanied by a fine of $5,000.
Wow, that's quite the story.
Well, that's not all, Lewis. Terreco went on to appeal the judge's decision, and the appeal was granted. This moved the case up to the Court of Queen's Bench, where the summary conviction appeal judge found Terreco guilty on the same charges, though he found the damages to be insufficient, so he raised them to $150,000 and $15,000, respectively. That's not all, Lewis. They then appealed the decision again, which was only partially allowed. This meant that the $150,000 fine was unchangeable, though the second fine was reverted back to the original $5,000.
That's one hell of a story.
Sure is, Lewis.
Here's Light with sports.
Flames won yesterday 5-3 against the Sharks. Back to Lewis with the CEO of Terreco. Lewis?
Now we're here with the CEO of Terreco Gas. Could you explain your side of the story and how do you think you've handled things on your end?
This has never happened in the history of our company. I'd like to offer my utmost condolences to the victims and their families, as well as the drivers involved in the incident.
How could you let such an inexperienced driver handle such a dangerous task?
No comment.
Okay. As far as relief goes, what have you done in order to address or mitigate any of the damages you caused so far?
No comment.
Can you confirm that you've ensured proper protocol and safety procedures as well as requirements have been met in preparation of this operation?
We've operated under protocol to the best of our ability. We also make sure that our managers and supervisors are properly educated on how to train and prepare employees for their respective jobs within the organization. Check our track record.
We've been told that the driver who was hired to operate the truck that was carrying the chlorine gas was not the best suited for the job.
To my knowledge, he has been trained by our staff, and we've trusted that we would have adequately prepared him for the job.
What have you learned from the aftermath of this incident? And is there anything that you're going to be doing from this point onwards to ensure that risk related to this will be completely mitigated?
As we demonstrated by this incident, we can't afford to let up on any procedures related to ensuring that qualified and experienced individuals are assigned to tasks of this nature. We'll definitely be implementing further measures in order to ensure that proper protocol is followed in similar future endeavors. Again, this is the first incident of this nature that our company has ever had, and through stricter policies regarding supervisor and management responsibility, we can assure you that this will be the only one to occur.
That marks the end of our segment. Thank you for putting aside the time today to share your knowledge about the incident with us.
No comment.
Okay, we'll send it back to you guys.
No comment.
Thank you, Lewis, for that. We now know all the information needed about the Terreco gas case.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Channel 10 at 10.